Okay, so we're going to start. And as you know, today we start with sexual education oriented for parents and educators for children between 0 and 5 years old. And this is created by the group SEED. And specifically, I'm a psychologist, so I'll tell you more about who am I and where I come from right now. Okay, so today we'll be talking about some practical skills in sexuality pedagogy for children from 0 to 5 years old. And who am I? My name is Camila Donoso. I am a general health psychologist or a clinical psychologist. I'm currently working at Dr. Carlos Chiclana's clinic, and I'm also collaborating with other clinics in Madrid. But a little bit about my education. I did my bachelor's degree in psychology in the University of Calgary in Canada. I studied a postgraduate degree in children's psychology in Barcelona. And I also did the master's degree in health psychology or clinical psychology in Universitat de Barcelona in Barcelona as well. So my work experience in early childhood from 0 to 5 years of age was working in a childhood stimulation center. So this is where I really got hand in hands with families, babies, and educators. And today we're going to talk about this wonderful stage, which is very, very young babies and children. What would we talk today? What would we be talking about today? So, why is early sexual education important? Why does it matter? Why are we here today? What is sexual education in early childhood, in these very young stages? We'll be talking about early identity formation, developmental milestones. We'll be talking about body parts and correct terminology, body autonomy and consent, private versus public behavior, safe versus unsafe touch, children's questions and how to answer them, warning signs, myths, and I'm also going to let the floor for you guys to ask me any questions if you do have any comments as well and share some experiences. Okay, so let's go right into it. Okay, so why? Why is early sexual education important? Why are we here today? First of all, we'll talk about promoting body autonomy and self-awareness. From infancy, children learn that their body belongs to them. Teaching them the correct names for body parts, allowing them to say no to unwanted touch, helps them develop a clear sense of ownership over their bodies and boundaries. Also, it encourages respect and healthy emotional development. Very important, number 3, it helps prevent abuse by giving children the tools to recognize and report discomfort. Okay, so children who are taught about safe and unsafe touch, who learn that secrets about their body should always be shared with trusted adults, are more likely to recognize inappropriate behavior and speak up. And also it builds trust between a child and an adult, and it reinforces safe relationships and communication skills. So what we're teaching our child is to have healthy communication and healthy relationships. And we'll be talking more about this in more in depth, more in detail. What is sexual education in early childhood? Okay, so it's very important to clarify that sexual education at this stage is not about sex or reproduction. And this is a very common misconception that can cause fear or resistance. What it is about is we're going to be naming body parts correctly. We're going to understand emotions and boundaries. We're going to learn about respect and consent. We're going to recognize appropriate and inappropriate behavior. And we're going to practice and develop healthy relationships. Okay, so the first part, where are we at? What's happening with our babies, with our young children? They're starting, their identities is becoming, is forming, is developing. So in this stage, they're starting to understand their body. They're starting to have body awareness. So as you know, I understand most of you are parents, teachers, educators, and you know that very young children, especially very, very young babies, are learning through their senses, are learning what I can touch. What does my hand, what is it useful? Why do I need my hand for? I'm learning through my mouth. Okay, everything goes through my mouth because I want to know what is useful for. How is the world built? And all of this information is coming through my senses. And through my learning is how I'm understanding the world. This is body awareness. Very, very important. Later on, children, toddlers are starting to understand gender. Okay? Boy, girl, and also exploration. And as adults, we should avoid reinforcing rigid stereotypes, allowing self-expression for children to be children. Okay? They're also forming a self or are also forming a sense of who they are as individuals, the sense of self. What do I like? What do I dislike? What feels comfortable? What feels uncomfortable? So we should encourage their independence and support their choices at this stage. So there's parents who tell me it's like I have a little teenager always saying no, always going against what I want them to do. And a very important part of this stage, of this rebel stage, is that they are learning what do I like and what I don't like. And in this part, it's very important for us because this is the basis of, am I liking this kind of relationship? Am I enjoying this type of encounters I'm having or not? And what should I do about this? So this is a very, very important stage for them to explore and to develop. Okay, so we're going to talk about the developmental milestones. So what's happening? What should I expect for my child to be? Where should I expect my child to be or my students to be at? I'm going to share with you this table. This is a very, very complete table. Um, if you do want this table and to look more in depth, more in detail about everything, all of the developmental milestones that children are facing, you can let us know, and we can let you have this table. But today I'm going to focus, and I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to focus on what concerns us today. So sexual education. What should I be expecting? So I'll just point out. I know that is, if it's not easy for you to see, please let me know. You can write in the chat box, please, or just let me know. But we'll be talking about mainly this area. Okay. So what happens with my child? what the child is doing or asking, and what can we do to support and guide the child. And let's start with very young children. So let's go to ages 0 to 1. What is happening? So as we talked about, the body is something to learn about and be proud of. Children are touching through learning through their senses. The child starts developing their bodily self-esteem. What the child is doing. So they are very, very young. Every part of their body is interesting. They're noticing areas under the diaper, using hands and mouth. The child is becoming familiar with different parts of their body. Also, as you may have already noticed, babies like to be naked, like to touch themselves, him or herself, and may even be touching their genitals and noticing feelings of pleasures. So, what can we do? Right now, it's important for us to hold the child. Just a second, I'm going to move so you can see. What's important? Holding the child, making calming and soothing sounds while stroking him or her, letting them know that their body is good. Every part of their body, their hands, their ears, their genitals, every part of their body is important. This is the stage where I'm also going to be naming different parts of my body. You can use picture books, you can use different body pictures, human body together. And down under here, it's very important area where I would like to for you to see. You can use positive words when you talk to that child. That's your genitals. It's all right. Let's clean you now. And in daily routines, in your day-to-day routines, when taking a shower, a bath, when changing clothes, is an important time to talk about what they're observing, what they're touching. Okay, it's okay for baby to be curious about their body. Let's move on. We're going to move up and we're going to talk about ages 2 to 3. And again, I know there's lots of information. It's wonderful, this table, but today we'll be focusing on what children, what's happening with children, what children may do or ask, and what can we do regarding their body and the start, the beginning of the basis of what sexual education. So the children is learning to regulate they peeing, they're pooping, they're starting to observe difference between girls and boys, probably asking questions about this, what the child may do or ask. So it has natural curiosity towards private parts during potty time, at daycare, in the pool, in the sauna. They are observing people's private parts and comments out loud about what she sees. Also, children are openly touching and exploring their body. They may be even touching their genitals for pleasure. They might even also want to touch other bodies and also want to be held a lot. So, what can we do about this? Adults. So, here's an important moment in our children's life where we start putting boundaries. Everyone has their own body. We're going to use appropriate words to explain that girls and boys have different parts and that both are just as good. Also, we're going to focus on hygiene, washing their hands, washing their body, their private parts, and also teaching respect for the privacy of others. When we talk about boundaries, we're going to do it in a gentle way. When and where it's okay to expose and touch which parts of the body. Okay, teach respect for others and also hold a child and be affectionate. We're going to move on to ages 4 and 5. What's happening? What's happening with my child? My child is curious, is comparing himself, his own body to other bodies, and is wondering a lot about it. Is starting to need privacy, starting to want their own time for their own exploration. So at this point, the child may be what the child might be doing is learning to wash and get dressed without help, recognizes the difference between old, young, woman, man, wondering about different parts of the body and their use, about how the body feels and what it can do, maybe touching the genitals. Also, the child may be touching private parts for pleasure and as a calming aid for falling asleep. What can we do to support and guide my 4 to 5 year old? Answering questions in a way that the child can understand. We'll see more in depth in the next slides on how to do this. Let the child clean themselves up, get dressed themselves by their own. Also explain how to take care of their own genitals, enhance individuality, and also pass along the message that it's okay to be the way one is. Please, if you do have any questions about this, let me know. Or if I'm going too fast, if I could go a little faster, just please let me know and I'll let you know. And I'll do as. Of course, I'll share with you everything that we have. I will share with you. Okay, so at this stage, it's essential that we start using the correct names for body parts. For some parents, and this is something that I see in sessions every day, might be your situation or not, but for some parents, this can cause discomfort. Okay, might be not used to it, but it's a very important step for several reasons. So, first of all, we're going to use anatomical names. That means we're going to talk about penis, we're going to talk about scrotum, testicle, vagina, vulva, breast, and buttocks. Okay, these are the anatomical correct words that we are going to use with our child or with the children. Why? So, yes, it's going to help the child communicate clearly and without ambiguity. When a child can name their genitals accurately, they can express themselves better if they are feeling in pain, in discomfort, with, or if someone has touched them inappropriately. We need them to be able to talk about what they are experiencing. Also, it reduces shame. Just as we talk about our hands, just as we talk about our feet, our legs, our belly, we have to normalize talking about genitals to help children understand that this is another part of their body without negative connotation. Perhaps most importantly, clear language is going to protect a child, it's going to help and increase the protection from abuse. If a child needs to report something has happened to them, having the right words is going to help them. And how can I do this? Just as natural and as normal as you can. This is not about having forced conversations with a 2-year-old, because we know that's not going to happen, or it's going to be very hard. just in using naturally in different opportunities that arises, changing the diapers, again, reading books, playing games, or even with my own body. Okay, when questions arise from my own body, then I will give the correct terminology for mommy's body parts, for daddy's body parts. I am going to share this resource with you. This is a resource that you can find in the SATE webpage. If you do need them to send, for us to send them to you, we can do that as well. And these are some activities. I'll just go over them. I'm not going to go very in detail, just as I said, because they are published in the SATE's webpage. But different activities you can do to name body parts. Okay, we have the famous head, shoulder, knees, and toes and feet song. Okay, but we can be creative. We can add the penis. We can add the vulva. Okay, or the breast. We can use that as part of this song and dance. Another proposed activity is I Know My Body game, and I'll show a picture of this later on again. Pictures or dolls, sorry, to point out different parts of the body. So here I'll share with you Your Body Belongs to You by Cornelia Spellman. It's a very important book for us to read with the child. And also drawing. Okay, drawing their body, decorating them, naming their body. Also, if they are very young, we can also help them draw, pre-make characters. Um, so I can see there are a few questions, and I'm just going to ask you a huge favor. We are going to have some time for questions, and if it's okay with you, I'll answer those questions later on. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about autonomy and consent. So this is something when we talk about consent, maybe our mind goes to teenagers. But why? Why are we talking about consent in children 0 to 5? We need to teach children that they are the boss of their own body. Okay, starting with hygiene. Right? We were talking about this before. How do I clean my hands, my teeth, my private parts? How do I clean myself after using the bathroom? Also, very important, and I know this with my patients, something that comes up is, yeah, I want them to get dressed by themselves, but sometimes we are running to school, we're running somewhere. Like, I need to help them. I need to do it for them. With a 4-year-old, with a 2-year-old. And I get it. Of course. Sometimes there's no time. But it's important to make room. Other moments where we are calmer, moments where we are doing this specific activity, maybe on a weekend, teach children to get dressed by themselves. Do it dynamic, do it with games. Show them by modeling them. Take time to teach them how to get dressed by themselves. This is very, very important. Practice consent in everyday life. Okay. And this is something that I would also say practice. Am I going to accept a hug? Am I going to accept a kiss? Do I want to be held? If I don't feel like it, then that's okay. Let's allow our children to say no to us and to family members. We must reassure them that they don't have to accept any touch that makes them uncomfortable no matter who is it from. Okay, they need to know that they have the right to say no. So according to UNICEF, children with low self-esteem are more susceptible to abuse, accidents, and physical and mental illness. That's why we talk about sexual education in children, because it's not only about my genitals or talking about where babies come from. It's about strengthening their self-esteem. Okay. Also, an important note that I want to share with you is that body and safety education isn't built in a single conversation. Repeat and reinforce information regularly to ensure your child understands and remembers what you have taught. This means that yes, and with teenagers, their reply would be, okay, again, you're talking always about the same thing. You're so annoying. But this again and again, this repetition is what's going to be in their brain. So what's going to stay in their brain and is what they're going to remember when the time comes, when different situations come up. Okay, so very, very important to take that into consideration. Okay, so also I would like to share this golden key for you to take away. Think about the four selves. What do we want to accomplish? What is our goal in these first years of life? Self-esteem, teaching your child to love, accept, and value themselves. Self-image, important, very important one. Accept their body just as it is. Accept their body for what it can do, where it can take me. How do my hands help me? How do my feet help me? How fast can I run? Um, my belly, what all of the organs inside, what wonderful things am I doing with all of my body? Okay? Self-concept, strengthening their self-image and their values, qualities, and strengths. Okay, so this looks something like you are a very gentle child, you are good at drawing. Do you feel proud of yourself? I like how you are taking your time to finish a certain activity. And self-care. Okay, so we talk about this, how to take care of themselves, brushing their teeth, putting on sunscreen, wearing cologne if they want to. Okay, so let's move on to a very important part of sexual education for very, very young children, 0 to 5. And this is going to be safe versus unsafe touch. It's very important for children to distinguish between safe and unsafe touch. This helps, I'm sorry, identify potential harmful situations and seek for help. So we can simplify this concept by explaining that there are three kinds of touch. Safe touch is where I feel safe. It's a hug from a parent, feels good and respectful, or a high five from a friend. Unsafe touch is any touch that hurts physically or emotionally and makes me feel uncomfortable. What is uncomfortable for a 3-year-old? And I always like to use this metaphor. So whenever you try a shoe, so you tell the child, have you ever tried a shoe that doesn't fit, that is very tight? That feeling is uncomfortable. So if you ever feel that a touch feels this way uncomfortable, then this is something that you have to talk about. And also, the third kind of touch is the secret touch, okay? When someone tells me about to keep a secret regarding my body. Okay, and when we talk about secrets, it's important to clarify the difference between good and bad secrets. So good secrets. What are good secrets? Um, surprise birthday parties, a gift. What are bad secrets? Any secret someone tells me to keep about regarding my body. And this point is very important that we reassure children that safe adults like parents or teachers are never going to ask me to keep secrets about my body. Also, and we can see here the doctor or the nurse with the baby. Also, it's important to talk about safe touch is when the doctor touches me, always in the presence of mom, dad, or a caregiver. Okay, so we were talking about the secrets. I would like to share with you a very, very, very nice book that I've read in different workshops with children. It's in Spanish, Secretos que Incomodan, but there's this similar version in English, Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept. Um, very, very useful tool and resource for children to start understanding what what are secrets that are uncomfortable secrets. And as I told you before, so here's a very visual way of playing a game. So I have a boy, I have a girl, and I have different parts of my body. Where does my breast go? Where does my hand go? Where does my back, my mouth, my belly, my penis, where does it go? So we look for we play different kinds of games, competition. We put a time, and also using the green, yellow, or orange, and red. Where is it comfortable and okay for people or adults to touch me? It's okay for adults to touch me in the head? Okay, that's a green dot. I'll put a green dot on my head. Is it okay for an adult to touch me on the hand? Okay, that's a green one as well. How about my belly? Hmm, I'm not sure. Maybe sometimes? Okay, so we are gonna put an orange dot right here. So red dots or marks would go in my breasts, in my genitals, everywhere my swimsuit covers. And this is something you can, as I said before, be creative, play different types of games with this. This is just one of them. And again, I have this research that I would like to share with you. But it's in the SEED's webpage if you want to look more in detail. So for educators or teachers, the circle of affection, sitting in a circle, passing around a soft toy, a child naming a person they love, and how they show love. Maybe it's a hug, maybe it's just words, maybe it's a giving present. Okay, another activity that we can also do at home is how do we show affection? So showing images of affectionate behavior, hugging, smiling, helping, and talking about if this feels comfortable and appropriate. Story time. So well, there's an example here, The Invisible Spring by Patrice Karst. But as I showed you before, there are there's lots of stories about um, who can I share my body with? How do I take care of my body? And drawing. So drawing is always a very nice activity for children this age. I can draw people that are important for me. And how do I express my affection towards them? And we've talked about how do I take care of my own body. But this is a very important age to teach children on boundaries with others. So, as I have my own personal bubble, others have their own personal bubble. How do I respect others if I don't want them to touch them? Modeling, I don't want you to touch me on my breast. I don't feel comfortable modeling that I can also feel uncomfortable with their touches, with their forms of, with their expressions of love. Sometimes it's caring, sometimes it's innocence, but maybe I don't feel comfortable and that's okay. So there's a few games you can play with them. Again, you can find these in the SEEDS webpage. Um, but it's different games as the personal bubble, as I said before, with hula hoops. So nobody gets in my hula hoop. Playing the traffic light game, red, yellow, and green. Where is a safe touch? Where can I touch my friend? Where is not a safe touch? And if it's red, I won't get in that area. I won't touch that area. Role playing, story time, and also drawing again. With older children, we're talking more about 4, 5, and 6 year olds. We can show them this resource, and again, we can share this with you. But you can have a time with them of talking about pants. What does pants mean for them to remember? P. P is for private parts. Privates are private. A. A is for always remember your body belongs to you. N. No means no. And T. Talk about secrets that upset. S. Speak up. Someone can help. Pants. And this is more for adults, for parents, for caregivers or teachers. It talks about what does each of the letters mean and how we can talk with the children about them. But it's a very visual and very easy to remember way of teaching children. Okay, so up until now, we've covered a, a children's body, how to talk with them, how to mention their body parts, boundaries. Now let's talk about us and how do we feel when children ask questions and what to do when children ask questions. So, first of all, we're going to be honest. We're going to use age-appropriate language, and we're going to be calm. And this is a very important part for you to notice yourself, to know if you feel comfortable with talking about these subjects, and also working on this. Talking with other adults, maybe your own therapist. Do I feel comfortable about this? Do I feel comfortable talking about this? Do I feel comfortable about telling the truth and being honest? If I don't, okay, that's something to look on myself. That's how I'm going to pass on all of this information to the children or to my kid, my daughter, my son. Validate emotions. Okay? It's important for children to know that their questions are valid, that their inquiries, their curiosities are valid. Listen, don't ignore or punish their curiosity, and also allow time for them to process. When we answer a question to very young children, it's normal for them to take a moment to analyze what has been said And probably some more backup questions will come after that. So let's allow time for them to process. Okay, again, we can use a routine moments to talk about and to have these conversations. Important not to expect perfect conversations. Okay, this is not about perfection. This is about trying over and over again and teaching my child the best way that I can do it. And take in consideration that if you're unsure, you can let them know that you're unsure. For example, that's a good question. Let me think and get back to you. It also teaches children that it's okay not to know something. That mommy, teacher, daddy, caregiver doesn't know everything all the time. Answering children questions. I'm going to propose you a method. This is the ask method. As we said, we're going to acknowledge their curiosity. We validate that their question is a good question. It's an important question. We're going to share simple and truthful answer. And the important part is truthful. We do want to be telling them the truth. We don't want to go into scientific explanations about how babies are made because a 2-year-old would be, a 2, a 4, a 5-year-old is going to be more confused. But we do want to we do want to tell them the truth. Okay, and I'll give some examples in the next slide. And okay, keep the conversation open. Again, we want to be simple and truthful. More questions will rise up immediately or later on. And we want to keep the conversation open. Notice that be aware that other conversations about this subject can come up. So, I know that I've been talking a lot and we've been covering a lot of information, but at this point, I want to invite you to participate if you feel comfortable. You can talk out loud, you can do it both in English or Spanish. And using this method, the ask method, acknowledging, sharing simple and truthful answers, and keeping the conversation open, how do you answer these questions? So first questions, how does the baby go inside of the belly? These are real questions that I've been asked by 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. How would you answer? Would anyone like to try it out, to share how you answer these questions? So I'm gonna leave the floor open to you. You can write it down in the chat as well. Would anyone like to participate? Anyone? How would you answer this question? There's no one. Okay, I'll answer this one, and if you do feel comfortable with the next one, please go ahead. We're all in this together. We're all here to talk about our children and how we can our conversations can be beneficial for them. So, how can I answer this question? So, how does the baby go inside of the belly? A good answer can be a baby starts growing inside the belly when a little seed from the dad and a tiny egg from the mom come together. The egg grows in a place called the uterus, until the baby is ready to be born. So why is this answer correct? Let's go back to our method. We are acknowledging their curiosity. Yes, we're giving them an answer. It's simple and it's the truth, but it's not getting into a very scientific way of telling them how babies are made. And it's also keeping the conversation open. I'm not going into detail of exactly everything. It's like, okay, this is your answer, and it's a valid answer. Let's go to the next question. Why do boys have a penis and I don't? Anyone who would like to answer this question using the method I just shared with you? Validating, sharing truthful information, and leaving the conversation open. You can write it down on the chat as well if you want to share. Anyone? Okay, let's move on. I'll share with you. What would an appropriate answer be? Boys have a penis, and girls have a vulva. That's just how bodies are made. We're different but equally important and capable of doing amazing things. Okay, does it follow our method? It does. It's simple. But again, we're talking with toddlers, with very young children. I'm sorry, let's go to our next questions. Can I see yours? So children are curious about our body and theirs, and sometimes they might wanna look out at our bodies or their cousins' bodies or their brothers and sister bodies. How can we answer this question? It's normal to be curious, but my body belongs to me and your body belongs to you. We don't show our private parts to others. This is also a very good way of setting boundaries. Next question, asked by very young children, what are those? So this could be pointing at breasts, muscles, or any body feature. And again, we're going to be using the correct terminology. So those are breasts, those are nipples, those are testicles. And we can remind them that those are your private parts. Only you get to touch them unless mom, dad is helping you stay clean and healthy. Does this fit our ask method? We are acknowledge them, we're giving them a simple answer, and we're letting the conversation open for them to ask more questions if they need to. Okay, let's talk about warning signs. And I am going to share with you another table just because it's very nicely organized. What are the common behaviors and what is rarely normal at this age? And when we are in uncommon behaviors and rarely normal in these two columns, this is cause for concern. These are warning signs, and I would recommend for you to look for professional help. If you see this in your students, in your children, common and less common behaviors is something that we see in children. Okay, that is part of this developmental stage they are in. Okay, so let's get into it. Common behaviors: touching or masturbating genitals in public or private. Less common: rubbing body against others. Not uncommon: asking a peer or adult to engage in specific sexual act, or any sexual behavior involving children who are 4 or more years apart. Okay, so children who are older who are playing sexual games, who are inviting the children to play games that look like any sexual encounter. This is not okay. Common behaviors. Viewing or touching peer or a new sibling's genitals. Okay, again, this is curiosity. Trying to insert tongue in mouth while kissing. What is uncommon and rarely normal? Inserting objects into genitals, warning sign. A variety of sexual behaviors displayed on a daily basis. Okay, sexual behaviors. Different behaviors that resemble sexual acts. Moving on. What is common behaviors? Showing genitals to peers. Okay, that's common. They're still in they don't know, or they're still learning that private parts are private. So it's normal for little children to, okay, these are my breasts, this is my butt. Touching peers or an adult's genitals, curiosity. What is less common? Explicit imitation of sexual intercourse. Okay. And sexual behavior that results in emotional distress or physical pain. What's common? Standing and sitting too close. What's common? Crude mimic of movements associated with sexual acts. Okay, less common, but can happen. Uncommon behaviors, warning sign, touching animals' genitals. Okay, that's a no. Sexual behaviors associated with other physical aggressive behavior. Again, aggressive behaviors, sexual behaviors. That's a no. Okay, two more. What's common? Tries to view peers or adults nude. Less common, sexual behaviors that are occasional but persistent and disruptive to others. Less common. Warning signs, sexual behaviors that are frequently disruptive to others and sexual behaviors that involve coercion. Let's move to the last one. What is common? Behaviors are transient, not very frequent, and can be easily diverted. Behaviors are transient and moderately responsive to distraction. This means that even though the child is touching their genitals, but I distract and they get involved in any other activity or in any other um game activity, then okay, it's not normal part of their development. What is not normal? That these behaviors persist and that they are resistant to distraction. And that behaviors that child gets very angry if distracted. Okay, so and in here I would like to talk about self-stimulation. Is it a sign of sexual abuse? Caregivers sometimes assume that self-stimulation must have been taught or because there has been abuse. This is not necessarily the case. Children find their genitals, recognize that stimulating feels good, and continue to engage in that behavior. What to do when this happens? Easily redirect. I'm sorry. Easily redirect with another activity. Try to stay calm. Don't get angry with the child. And reassure that it's okay for them to touch their body, but that should be done in a private place. Also, sometimes this behavior is just harmless curiosity. If you do see the signs that we've talked about, it should be addressed by a professional. Let's talk about myths. And I would like for you to help me answer these myths, but I know we're right on time, so I'll tell you about a few myths that I've heard that I've heard in my experience. It's the school responsibility, not mine. So sexual education is shared responsibility. Both families and school play crucial roles. Talking about sex will encourage children to experiment. I'll just go a bit fast in these ones, okay? Uh, mm, Early sexual education is not about teaching children how to have sex. Okay, this is very important. It's about age appropriate information about their bodies, their feelings, and how they are developing relationships. They are too young to understand. They are not too young to understand. They are already understanding their body from a very early age. It will take away their innocence. It's on the contrary. Children with accurate information and when they're empowered to protect themselves actually helps them preserve their innocence by reducing their vulnerability to abuse or exploitation. Once again, I have a resource that you can find in the SEEDS webpage, and this talks about emotional regulation. And just a little note talking about emotions, recognizing emotions, what emotions am I having, and what can I do with these emotions would be the next part of these of all of this sexual education and how do I feel. Okay, so from my part, some general recommendations. As I said, both parents and educators play a fundamental role in sexual education of their children. It's important to create a culture of trust and safety, be consistent in messaging, collaborate, try to use the same language both at home and at school, and address your own discomfort to avoid passing on shame. Okay, so now I would like to open the floor for any questions. Also, if you have any experiences or challenges you faced in this area, or if you do have any other practices that you would like to share with everyone. I do have a question, and it says, and if it's okay, I would read it out loud. Please let me know if this is not okay for the person who has sent this question. The question is, my girl is 7 and my boy is 4. They like playing, trying to touch each other private parts. I repeat over and over that each one's body is private. We sign con copa, sin ropa, mi cuerpo no se toca. Okay. I try to prevent it, but still they can't help having so much fun with the game. Should I keep trying to avoid the game? Yes. Okay. So thank you for that question. And the answer for you is that yes, this game should be avoided just because as I'm playing with my little sister or my older brother, then this is something fun. I can also go out to the playground, to the school with other children, and I would also think that this game is fun, is innocent. And it might come from innocence, but we do want to avoid children engaging in these type of games out there in the real world. We want to teach them as we talked about today about boundaries. So my body is mine and other people's are theirs, and that's the limit I should not cross. So I would encourage you to play other kinds of games. And using the hula hoops, we talk about the bubbles, we talk about drawing, and also modeling and being persistent with your limits. Okay, so as you said, no is no, and I'm not laughing, and I know you're having fun, but there's other games that we can play. and find other games, other activities, redirect them, and so you can have nice times without touching each other's genitals. Okay. Okay, so I do have another question, and it says, do you have experience how caregivers and peers react when a child of 3 to 4 years uses terms such as penis and vagina? In Croatia, it would be unusual. Do you have experience? Hmm. Okay. So are we talking about stigma? Is it not well seen for a child to use these terms? Nevertheless, while you answer me, nevertheless, as we said before, the reactions can vary a lot by peers and by other caregivers. But the important thing is to know that my child is has the accurate information and that is protected, and also doing like a domino effect, making yourself and your child a role model, an example to follow, and taking this message with you to other professionals, to other family members, letting them know very honesty why, the reason why the little child is okay. There's no stigma, but this is not a word a little child is expected to know. Okay, so I would pass along the message of why is it so important for my child to know. We're talking about shame. We don't want the children to be ashamed of saying my penis hurts. We want them to be able to talk clearly. We want to give them a voice. This is going to protect them. I hope I answered your question. I know it can be hard. Exactly. So we have to change culture. Yes, thank you for your comment. Yeah, little by little. Um, is there any other question, any other comment? I know you would like some resources for you yourself to look at them more in detail. So I would talk with the organizer so we can give pass that along to you. Um, Nevertheless, I will send you my email. You can here's my emails if you do need anything else from my part. Please, you're more than welcome to contact me. And thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking your time. I hope everything goes well with your little ones, and and we're here for you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye bye.